So we have a little bit of downtime here in Cuenca. We've been spending our time buying things we need for the trip.
Yeah.
And figuring out how to pack all of our stuff on the motorcycle.
Yeah, now we have a very waterproof tent.
Yeah, we got a new tent, which is going to be awesome. Actually, it's actually going to keep the rain off.
I hope so.
I hope so. Especially since we're driving into winter in South America. Since we have some spare time, I'm going to take this opportunity to share with everybody a little bit of the things that I've learned over the last 9,561.5 kilometers. So far on this trip, probably the #1 most important thing I've learned is that shoe goo is an indispensable part of your toolkit. So far I've used this to repair about half of my equipment and 2 motorcycles. Seriously, this stuff is incredible. The #2 most useful thing I've discovered on this trip is the Maps.me app. I have to give a big shout out to Jason Coe, who I met in Mexico City, who told me about this app. It has saved my butt a number of times. Maps.me draws its information from the OpenStreetMaps project. And the OpenStreetMaps project, anyone can edit. It's essentially the Wikipedia of maps. And oftentimes I've found that it's actually more accurate than Google Maps, especially for places like South America. It has a bunch of neat features. #1, it's an offline maps app, so you download the maps ahead of time and you can use them wherever you roam. It also has a real-time GPS routing option that can be used on any device with an internal GPS chip. So this effectively renders the separate GPS device obsolete, and I've actually run into a couple of motorcyclists on this trip who have just taken an old iPhone and bolted it to the front of their motorcycle, and they use this app, and that's their GPS. The map is also searchable, which is really cool. Click the search function down here, and say I want to find campsites near to wherever I am, or actually anywhere. All I have to do is type in campsite right there, click search on map, and a bunch of little green dots will show up. And all of these green dots are campsites. And the app will search any of the maps that you happen to have downloaded. So right now I have Ecuador and Peru and Chile and Argentina. And it will tell me where all the campsites are in all of those places. I absolutely love this app and I recommend it for any traveler. And the cool thing is, the more people that use it, the more people will be tempted to actually edit the map when there's information missing. And that just makes the world a better place for all of us. Another super useful travel companion is the Wonder Map from Wonderground. This weather app does require an internet connection, but I've found it to be absolutely invaluable at times. You can see there's weather stations all over the world that are connected to this app. And although the forecasting is a little bit sketchy outside of the United States, it's still pretty useful. I can see right now, for Cuenca, Ecuador, it's 66 degrees Fahrenheit. And the forecast is for rain for the foreseeable future, which sounds about right. One of the coolest parts of this app, I think, is the infrared satellite overlay, which lets you see clouds and their temperatures and movement, which is not an exact indicator of where it's raining, but is often quite useful for predicting the movement of storms. Plus, the animation feature lets you really see how the storms are moving and whether or not they are going to cross your path. This one can be incredibly useful for motorcycle travelers if you want to avoid the giant thunderstorms that are wandering around South America this time of year. Another indispensable item for me is the compression sack. If you're driving from the tropics to somewhere where there are glaciers, you need to bring a wide variety of clothes, and the best way to shove them all into these little boxes on the motorcycle is to put them in one of these bags and smush them into the smallest possible space. This one is made by Granite Gear, and it actually ended up breaking after a couple months of use. The top compression cap started to come unraveled around the seams, so we had to put a patch on it. It was easy enough to patch, but still a little disappointed that it broke so quickly. Maybe I'm just using it harder than it was designed for. For my panniers, I'm using an off-brand Pelican style case, and one of the things you have to watch out for with these is that after a certain amount of time of opening and closing, the hinge pins will actually work their way out.
Now what I did to remedy this was simply pound them back in with a blunt object and put a nice big fat dab of shoe goo on the end of the hole so that they couldn't work their way out again.
So far, the Heidenau tires seem to be holding up exceptionally well.
They have over 10,000 kilometers on them now, and I have to say they're worth every penny and all the hassle it took to install them.
A question I've been asked a lot is what software I'm using to edit my videos, and I'm just using iMovie, which honestly is not the greatest program in the world. It is a bit buggy, but it only cost $4 and it's super intuitive to use, especially on the iPad. You can stretch and shrink the timeline just by touching it, and click on clips and drag them around and move them, and it's just super easy to use. And despite the bugs, I think it's a good program. However, if anyone knows of anything equally as easy to use and less buggy, please let me know.
And last but not least, I learned that guinea pigs are delicious, and I highly recommend that if you ever get a chance to eat one, you should definitely do so. You don't have to eat the face, though. That's just a matter of personal preference. I think it's delicious.
That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed this mini episode and found it interesting and or useful. We'll be heading south in a couple days, and there will be another full-length update shortly. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. We'll see you guys next time.